Okay, so today we're going to be doing an update video on what the servo system looks like. Right now I have it mostly figured out, so all of these are complete. So these all have their own brand new enclosures, housings. They also each have a camp light and a servo and a pod, of course. They run back. They are going to go into one of these four connectors, which are labeled, of course. I haven't added my 4-pin connector here yet, and that's because I want to match it to the vehicle. However, there will be a 4-pin connector here that will go to the vehicle, and then there will also be a 2-pin connector that will go to the tent for power. This is just a regulator. This will live outside. This enclosure is actually getting printed right now. So once there's an enclosure for this, then I'll figure out how to waterproof this control area. What we're looking at is the 4 pods. We're looking at a relay module here, and we're looking at the microcontroller itself. I tried to do everything else within the loom, try to keep it simple. So I have my little machinery here. This is going to output, I set it to 11.6 volts, so the lower end of where a battery should be while it's operating. What we're going to do now is we're going to show what this is over here before I get too into it. Like I said, one of these is going to be going ground and power to the tent, but then we also have this right here, which is going to be a switched wire, and that's going to turn on camp lighting. So you can see the red exterior lighting that will face down at an angle. So that's separate, and that only draws about, you can see from the screen there, we're looking at 13 watts with the lights on, and without the lights on, we're looking at 2 watts, so 11 watts at most. For the system itself, I can control all these pods and everything. So this is what the controller looks like as of right now. I've slimmed it down quite a bit. So what we're looking at is, this is a coding I tried, which I'm not too happy with. I'll be trying something different next time. But you have the joystick, lights off. This is servo positions, servo modes, servo is off. Microcontroller is now directly connected to the back, and I use the USB-C style, so that whether you're using a power bank or whatever you want to use, but you can just plug it into USB-C. You have power. What that's going to let me do is, so we can look at some voltage, or sorry, some wattage draws now. So if I turn on all the lights, you can look over there. We've got about 40 watts. It's well over, so I'd say 35 watts. That's all the pods. Still well within, I think my whole system here is going to draw less than 5 amps when it's fully operational. So my little joystick here, it lets me choose which light. So that's the left side. It's going to show me on the controller the left side, or I can do the front, and it's going to show me the front. And then I also have servos. So what that lets me do, and let me turn them all on. What this is going to let me do now is, if I press forward, you'll see both forward ones go forward. I have ditch position, side position. At the back here, I got side position, ditch position, and back position. And then I also have some modes. So this is a sweep. This is going to do one side at a time, so your eyes can follow the beam if you're looking for something. And then I also have party mode, which self-explanatory. That's for partying. This is going to be your servo off light. So this will just turn off the servos wherever they may be. And then this will be your light off mode, so you can turn off your lights wherever, whenever. That is the overview of the system as of right now. There is going to be some other additions to this. So there's going to be forward-facing spotlights, both fog and regular white. And then I'm going to have a chase light at the rear. All of these, I'm not sold on incorporating them into the system yet, but it's definitely a possibility. That way it's all controlled this way, because right now the way I have it set up is, as you can see on the mat, all that comes into this mat is power and ground. Everything else is wireless and everything else is internal. So this controller here, completely wireless, of course. So what that lets me do, the reason I wanted to go wireless was so that I can be sitting in my rooftop tent, I hear something, I can turn on my left lights, I can, swing these lights over to see the left side, and it just makes life a lot easier, right? Oh, I see something in the front, I can turn on the front lights and swing it forward. It's something that I can control from the tent when I'm sleeping, from camp when I'm working around camp, or when I get to camp and maybe I just want to set the lights up. Um, that's the main reason I wanted to go wireless. I also love that we just need the power on the ground, because if you've ever ran wiring around a vehicle, you know that running wires to the roof is a little intimidating, um, especially if you have to drill holes. So this lets you use other methods of getting the power there, because all you need is those two wires. And like I said, the whole system draws. I can actually show you guys. So I got all the lights on, turn the camp lighting on, and you can see over there we got 50 watts. So still under 5 amps. So even like if this battery was running at a much lower voltage, it's well under 5 amps, which is the gauge of wire you need is insignificant. So the setup here is the rough prototype. Once I get the enclosure made here and I figure out how I'm going to waterproof this, I can install this onto the back side of the tent, install these onto the support rails, and then I have to add those front facing lights as I mentioned. There's the rear fog, the rear chase, and then we will have tent power. So the 2-pin connector I was talking about right here, that'll just supply USB power to the tent. And then finally, the last thing we have is we also have um, solar panels on the roof, and those wires obviously run completely separate from this. I don't think I'm missing anything else lighting wise. There's also interior lighting in the tent, which is switched. I've already installed that, so that's nice. I think that covers the electronics for the top of the vehicle, and we'll go more in depth with the rest of the vehicle once I get around to it. Thanks for watching.